Financial freedom. Achieve financial independence and live on your own terms. Audiobook. Written by Peter A. Saul. Published by Audiobooks, LOA. I'm so glad you're here taking this important step on your path. You're listening to Financial Freedom. Achieve financial independence and live on your own terms. Many of you listening, my own financial journey had its ups and downs. There were times I felt confused, overwhelmed, even a little lost. But navigating those challenges led me to discover, test, and refine the principles I'll share with you in this audiobook. Principles that have helped countless people, myself included, move from financial uncertainty to clarity and control. So, what is this financial freedom we're talking about? Let's be clear. It's not just about being incredibly wealthy or having a mansion on a hill, though it could be if that's your goal. More fundamentally, financial freedom is about having control. It's about having options. It's about having the resources to design a life that aligns with your values, not one dictated solely by the need to earn a paycheck. Financial freedom looks different for everyone. For some, it's leaving a job they dislike to pursue work they love, even if it pays less initially. For others, it's launching a passion project, traveling the world, spending more quality time with family, or simply having the profound peace of mind that comes from knowing your financial house is in order. Our goal here, together, is to help you define your version of financial freedom and then build the practical path to achieve it. Now you might be thinking, is this really possible for me? Let me assure you, it absolutely is. Achieving financial freedom isn't magic. It's not some secret reserved for the lucky few. It's based on understandable principles of behavior, finance, and consistent action. Principles we'll break down, together, step by step, in a way that makes sense. Throughout this audiobook, we'll walk through building your solid financial foundation, explore proven strategies for growing your wealth responsibly, and ultimately help you design that life on your own terms. I'll provide clear explanations, practical actions you can take starting today, and insights backed by both real-world experience and sound financial understanding. We'll cut through the jargon and focus on what truly matters. This journey requires honesty, a willingness to learn, and consistent effort. But the rewards, control, security, peace of mind, the ability to live your life, are more than worth it. Are you ready to take control? Are you ready to start building your future? We notice that 85% of you who listen to our video are not yet subscribed to the channel. Please help support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and like the video. Thanks for inspiring us to create more content for you. Now let's begin. Part 1. Laying the foundation. Chapter 1. What is financial freedom really, and why it's personal? Before we dive into numbers and strategies, let's take a moment to truly understand what we're aiming for. We use the term financial freedom, but what does it actually mean to you personally? We often think of freedom in grand terms, quitting the job, sailing around the world, and those can be valid goals. But true freedom often starts smaller. I remember working with a client, let's call her Sarah. For years, she thought financial freedom meant reaching $1 million net worth. But when we dug deeper, what she really craved was the freedom to leave her high-stress corporate job and spend more time painting, even if it meant a simpler lifestyle. Her definition shifted from a big number to a specific feeling and activity. For her, that was freedom. Understanding why you want financial freedom is perhaps the most critical element of achieving it. It's the fuel that will keep you going when things get challenging or when the initial excitement fades. Behavioral economists, experts who study how our psychology affects our decisions, have shown that connecting our goals to our core values makes us far more likely to stick with them. When your why is clear, the how becomes much easier to navigate. So let me ask you directly, what does living on your own terms truly look like for you? Pause for a moment if you can. Close your eyes and picture it. What are you doing? Who are you with? How do you feel? Is it about security, opportunity, generosity, time? Okay, let's make this tangible. Your first reflection exercise: grab a notebook or open the downloadable PDF that accompanies this audiobook. At the top of a page, write "My Financial Freedom Vision." Now, write down 3 to 5 things, specific things, that achieving financial freedom would allow you to do, be, or have. Don't censor yourself. What truly motivates you? This why is your anchor. We'll come back to it. Keep it somewhere you can see it. It will be your guidepost throughout this journey. Chapter 2. Confronting Your Financial Reality. The Honest Assessment. All right, we've defined our destination, or at least started sketching the map. Now we need to figure out exactly where we are starting from. This step, taking an honest look at your current financial situation, can feel daunting. For some, it might even bring up feelings of anxiety or shame. Please know that's completely normal. I remember feeling overwhelmed when I first truly laid out my own numbers. But let me reassure you, knowledge is power. We need to know our starting point to map the journey effectively. There's no judgment here, only information gathering. 2 key numbers give us a snapshot of your current financial health: net worth and cash flow. First, let's talk about net worth. Think of it as your personal financial balance sheet. It's a simple calculation: what you own, your assets, minus what you owe, your liabilities. The result is your net worth. Assets are things you own that have value. This includes cash in your checking and savings accounts, the value of your investments, like stocks or retirement funds, the market value of your home if you own one, the value of your car, and any other significant possessions. Liabilities are what you owe to others. This includes credit card debt, student loans, car loans, mortgages, personal loans, any money you are obligated to pay back. So the formula is total assets, total liabilities, sure net worth. This number gives you a single, powerful snapshot of your financial position right now. It might be positive, negative, or zero. Whatever it is, it's just a starting point. The second key piece is cash flow. This is about the movement of money in and out of your life over a period, typically monthly. Simply put, money in, income; money out, expenses. Cash flow. Money in is your total income from all sources, your salary, any side hustles, investment income, etc. Money out is everything you spend money on: rent or mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, debt payments, entertainment, savings, everything. If your money in is greater than your money out, you have positive cash flow, a surplus. If money out is greater than money in, you have negative cash flow, a deficit. Understanding your cash flow shows you how much money you have available or how much you're short each month to put towards your goals. Okay, let's put this into action. Your task for this chapter: calculate your starting net worth. Use the worksheet in the downloadable PDF or just a piece of paper. First, list all your significant assets and estimate their current value. Then, list all your liabilities and their current balances. Subtract the total liabilities from the total assets. That's your starting net worth. Write it down. Next, for the next week, just 1 week, track every single dollar you spend. You can use an app, a small notebook, or the simple tracker in the PDF. Also, note your income for that period. This will give you an initial eye-opening glimpse into your cash flow patterns. Remember, this isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. Knowing these numbers is the essential first step towards taking control. Chapter 3. The Bedrock. Crafting a budget that works for you, not against you. The word budget often gets a bad rap. It conjures images of restriction, deprivation, spreadsheets filled with painful limitations. Let's reframe that right now. Forget rigid, painful budgets. We're not talking about a financial straitjacket. We're creating a spending plan, a tool that empowers you to consciously direct your money where you want it to go, aligning your spending with the values and goals we identified in Chapter 1. Think of it like a roadmap for your money. Without a map, you might wander aimlessly, maybe ending up somewhere okay, maybe getting lost. A spending plan gives you direction. Or think of it like how a successful business allocates its resources, intentionally deciding where capital will have the most impact. Your income is your capital. Your spending plan helps you allocate it effectively towards building the life you want. There are many different ways to create a spending plan, and the best one is simply the one that works for you and that you can stick with. Let's briefly touch on a few popular approaches. The zero-based budget. Every single dollar of your income is assigned a job: spending, saving, investing, debt repayment. Income minus all assigned dollars equals zero. It's meticulous but provides maximum control. The 50-30-20 guideline. This is simpler. You allocate roughly 50% of your after-tax income to needs, housing, utilities, food, transportation, 30% to wants, entertainment, dining out, hobbies, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. It's flexible, but requires discipline within the categories. Pay yourself first. This focuses on prioritizing savings. You decide on a savings amount or percentage, and you automate that transfer to savings or investments before you spend on anything else. The rest you can spend more freely, knowing your future is being taken care of. The underlying principle for all these methods is intentionality. It's about understanding where your money is going and making conscious choices about it. So, your action step for this chapter. Based on your initial expense tracking from last chapter and the brief overview here, there's more detail in the PDF. Choose one budgeting method that resonates with you. Don't aim for perfection right away. Start simple. Maybe just track your spending categories more carefully for a month, or implement the pay yourself first method with a small, achievable amount. The key is to start. Here's a verbal signposting of the basic process. Step 1. Track. Know where your money is currently going. You started this last chapter. Step 2. Categorize. Group your spending into logical buckets: needs, wants, savings, debt. Step 3. Allocate. Decide how much you want to allocate to each category going forward based on your chosen method and your goals. Imagine finding an extra $100, $200, or even more per month, not by earning more, but simply by understanding where your money goes and directing it purposefully. That's the power of an intentional spending plan. It's not about restriction, it's about empowerment. Chapter 4. Taming the Debt Beast. Strategies for becoming debt-free. Debt. For many people, it feels like a heavy weight, a constant drag on their financial progress and peace of mind. It can cause stress, limit opportunities, and make achieving financial freedom feel impossible. If you're carrying debt, especially high-interest debt like credit cards or personal loans, please know you're not alone. I've seen firsthand the emotional toll it can take, and perhaps like me, you felt that pressure yourself at some point. But here's the crucial message. There is a path out. You can tame the debt beast. First, let's briefly distinguish between types of debt. Some debt, often called good debt, is typically used to acquire assets that may appreciate or increase your earning potential, like a mortgage for a home or sometimes student loans, though the value here is debatable depending on the degree and cost. Bad debt, on the other hand, is usually used for consumption, things that lose value quickly, and often comes with high interest rates. Think credit card debt for lifestyle spending or high-interest personal loans. Our primary focus here is tackling that high-interest, non-productive debt. There are two popular and effective strategies for paying off multiple debts: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball. With this method, you list all your debts from the smallest balance to the largest, regardless of the interest rate. You make minimum payments on all debts except the smallest one. You throw every extra dollar you can find in your budget at that smallest debt until it's gone. Then, you take the money you were paying on that cleared debt, the minimum payment, and plus the extra, and add it to the minimum payment of the next smallest debt. You repeat this process, creating a snowball of payment momentum. Analogy. Think of it like knocking down small bowling pins first. Each victory gives you momentum and psychological reinforcement to keep going. Benefit: quick wins provide motivation. The debt avalanche. Here, you list your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest, regardless of the balance. You make minimum payments on all debts except the one with the highest interest rate. You attack that highest interest debt with all your extra funds. Once it's paid off, you take that entire payment amount and add it to the minimum payment of the debt with the next highest interest rate. Analogy. This targets the biggest source of your interest cost first, like putting out the biggest fire. Benefit: mathematically, you'll pay less interest overall and potentially get out of debt slightly faster. Which method is better? The one you'll stick with. The snowball often wins for motivation, while the avalanche saves more money. Both work if you commit. Your action step for this chapter is crucial. List all your debts. Include the creditor, the total balance, the minimum, monthly payment, and the interest rate for each one. Choose either the debt snowball or the debt avalanche method. Decide which approach feels more motivating or logical for you. Identify how much extra you can realistically put towards your chosen target debt this month, even if it's just $10 or $20 to start. Make that first extra payment. Taking that first step, making that first extra payment, is incredibly empowering. You're no longer just letting debt happen to you, you're actively fighting back. Let's start shrinking that beast today. Chapter 5. The Power of Saving, Building Your Emergency Fund and Beyond. Now that we've talked about managing our spending and tackling debt, let's turn to another cornerstone of financial stability: saving. Specifically, we need to build your emergency fund. Think of your emergency fund as your financial shock absorber. It's not money you're saving for a vacation or a down payment. We'll get to those goals later. This is money set aside specifically for life's unexpected bumps. A job loss, a medical bill, an urgent car repair. Its purpose isn't necessarily to make you rich. Its purpose is to protect your progress and prevent you from derailing your financial goals or going back into debt when unexpected expenses inevitably arise. It buys you peace of mind. How much should you have in your emergency fund? The standard guideline is 3 to 6 months' worth of essential living expenses. Essential expenses are the bare minimum you need to cover your needs: housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance premiums, minimum debt payments. Not the wants, just the core necessities. Why 3 to 6 months? 3 months provides a basic cushion. 6 months offers more robust security, especially if your income is variable or finding a new job in your field might take longer. If that range feels overwhelming right now, especially if you're tackling debt, don't panic. The goal is to start building it. Even $500 or $1,000 set aside can make a huge difference when a small emergency hits. Where should you keep this money? It needs to be safe and accessible, but ideally not mixed with your everyday checking account to avoid accidentally spending it. A separate high-yield savings account is often the perfect place. It's FDIC insured in the US, check your local equivalent, earns a little interest, though growth isn't the primary goal, and is readily available when you need it. The most effective way to build your emergency fund is through automation. Decide how much you can realistically set aside each week or each month, even if it's a small amount to begin with. Then set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your dedicated emergency savings account. Treat it like any other bill. This consistency is key. So, your action step for this chapter: calculate your target emergency fund number. Estimate your monthly essential expenses and multiply by 3 your minimum target and by 6 your ideal target. Write down this range. Open a separate savings account if you don't already have one dedicated for this purpose. Consider a high-yield online savings account. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to this new savings account. Start with an amount you can comfortably afford right now. Even $20 a week or $50 a month makes progress. Label the account Emergency Fund so its purpose is always clear. Building this safety net is one of the most reassuring steps you can take. It provides a foundation of security upon which all your other financial goals can be built. Part 2. Growing your wealth. Chapter 6. Mind over money. Understanding your financial psychology. We've spent the first part of this audiobook laying the practical foundation. Understanding your goals, assessing your situation, creating a spending plan, tackling debt, and building your safety net. These are the essential mechanics. But as we move into growing your wealth, it's crucial to address something just as powerful, perhaps even more so: your mindset and financial psychology. The truth is, we're not always rational creatures when it comes to money. Our decisions are heavily influenced by our emotions, our past experiences, our upbringing, and subconscious beliefs, what are sometimes called money scripts. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, leading to a scarcity, a mindset. Maybe you saw a parent take big financial risks and get burned, making you overly fearful of investing. Or maybe you feel you don't deserve wealth. These underlying beliefs can sabotage even the best financial plans. Behavioral economists, like the Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, have spent decades studying how these psychological factors impact our financial choices. They've identified common cognitive biases, essentially mental shortcuts or patterns of thinking that can lead us astray. Let's look at just a couple of simple examples. Loss aversion. This is the tendency for the pain of losing something to be psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Why does losing $100 feel so much worse than gaining $100 feels good? This bias can make us overly cautious, afraid to take reasonable investment risks needed for growth, or cause us to panic and sell investments during market downturns, locking in losses. Herd mentality. We are social creatures, and we often feel safer following the crowd. In finance, this can mean buying into investments just because everyone else is, like during a market bubble, or panic selling when everyone else seems to be selling. Following the herd often means buying high and selling low, the opposite of what we should do. Understanding these biases doesn't make us immune to them, but awareness is the first step. It allows us to pause, question our impulses, and make more deliberate, rational decisions aligned with our long-term plan, rather than reacting emotionally to short-term noise or ingrained fears. So let's engage with this personally. What beliefs about money did you grow up with? Are they serving you now? What financial fears or anxieties do you notice coming up as we talk about budgets, debt, and investing? Your action step for this chapter is a reflective one. Use the journal prompt in the PDF or your own notebook. Identify one financial fear or limiting belief that you hold. Just one. Then spend a few minutes thinking or writing about where it might have come from. Was it something you were told, something you experienced? Simply acknowledging it is a powerful step towards loosening its grip. Mastering your money isn't just about spreadsheets and calculations. It's also about understanding and managing the powerful influence of your own mind. Chapter 7. Introduction to Investing, Making Your Money Work for You. Okay, we've built our foundation and we've started exploring our money mindset. Now let's talk about the engine that drives long-term wealth creation: investing. The word investing might sound complex, intimidating, or even risky to some. Maybe you picture Wall Street traders shouting at screens or complex charts you don't understand. Let's put those images aside for now. We're going to break investing down into understandable pieces. At its core, investing is simply using your money to buy things, assets that have the potential to grow in value over time or generate income, or both. This is fundamentally different from saving. Saving, like building our emergency fund in a high-yield savings account, is crucial for safety and short-term goals. It's low risk, but it typically offers very low growth, often barely keeping pace with inflation, the rate at which prices rise over time. Saving protects your money. Investing, on the other hand, aims to grow your money significantly over the long term. Instead of just parking your money, you're putting it to work. You're buying ownership in businesses, stocks, lending money to governments or companies, bonds, or purchasing other assets that you believe will increase in value or pay you an income. Think of it like planting seeds in a garden. Your savings account is like storing seeds safely in a jar. They won't spoil, but they won't multiply either. Investing is like planting those seeds in fertile soil. You water them, add more money over time, tend to them, monitor your strategy, and expect them to grow into plants that eventually produce a harvest, returns, much larger than the initial seeds. Some seeds might grow faster but be more sensitive to weather, higher risk, higher potential return, while others might be slower, steadier growers, lower risk, lower potential return. The goal is to cultivate a garden that yields a substantial harvest later on. Now, investing does involve risk. Unlike savings accounts, which are typically insured up to certain limits, the value of investments can go down as well as up. There's no guarantee of returns. The level of risk varies greatly depending on what you invest in. Generally, assets with the potential for higher returns, growth or income, also come with higher risk. This relationship between risk and potential return is a fundamental concept in investing. We'll explore specific types of investments soon, but the key takeaway here is that to achieve significant long-term growth and outpace inflation, taking on some calculated investment risk is usually necessary. Investing isn't about getting rich quick. It's about patiently and consistently putting your money to work so that it can grow and compound over time, ultimately helping you achieve your financial freedom goals. Don't let fear or complexity hold you back. We'll continue to demystify it together. Chapter 8. Compound Interest, Your Greatest Ally, if you start now. If there's one concept in finance that feels like magic, but isn't, it's compound interest. Albert Einstein is often quoted as calling it the eighth wonder of the world. While that quote's origin is debated, the power of compounding is undeniable. It is quite simply your greatest ally in building wealth over the long term, especially if you harness it early. So, what is it? Compound interest is essentially earning returns on your returns. Let me break that down. When you invest money, you hope to earn a return, interest, dividends, or growth in value. Let's say you invest $1,000 and earn a 10% return in the first year. That's $100. You now have $1,100. In the second year, if you earn another 10% return, you don't just earn it on your original $1,000. You earn it on the entire $100, so 10% of $100 is $110. Now you have $1,210 in the third year. You earn 10% on $1,210, which is $121. Now you have $1,331. Notice how the amount you earn each year is growing. You earned $100 the first year, $110 the second, $121 the third. That extra earning, $121 the third. That extra earning, 10, then 21, is the interest earning interest. That's compounding in action. It might seem small at first, but over long periods the effect becomes incredibly powerful. It's like a small snowball rolling down a long hill. As it rolls, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger, faster and faster. The longer the hill, your investment timeline, the larger the snowball your wealth can become. This is why starting early is far more powerful than starting big later on. Time is the most critical ingredient for compounding. Someone who starts investing small amounts in their 20s can easily end up with significantly more wealth than someone who starts investing larger amounts in their 40s, simply because their money has had decades longer to compound. Let's make this visual. Your action step for this chapter: find an online compound interest calculator. There are many free ones available, and I've linked one in the PDF. Play around with it. Enter a small initial investment, a modest monthly contribution, maybe, even just $50 or $100. An estimated average annual return, say 7 to 8%, a historical long-term average for diversified stock market investments, though past performance doesn't guarantee future results. And then look at the projected growth over 10, 20, 30, even 40 years. See how the growth starts slow and then accelerates dramatically over time. Visualize that potential. Understanding and believing in the power of compounding can provide the motivation to start investing consistently, even with small amounts, and to stay invested for the long haul. It turns time itself into your most valuable asset. Don't delay putting this powerful force to work for you. Chapter 9. Decoding investment options, stocks, bonds, and funds, explained. Simply, we know why we should invest: growth, compounding, and the basic concept, putting money to work. Now let's look at the main seeds you can plant in your investment garden, the basic building blocks of most investment portfolios: stocks, bonds, and funds. Don't worry, we'll keep this simple and clear. Stocks. When you buy a stock, also called equity or a share, you are buying a tiny piece of ownership in a publicly traded company. Think Apple, Amazon, or countless others. Analogy: imagine a large pizza company. Buying one share of its stock is like buying a tiny slice of that company. How you potentially make money: two main ways. First, if the company does well and its value increases, the price of your stock slice may go up. This is called capital appreciation. Second, some companies distribute a portion of their profits back to shareholders, called dividends, general risk-return profile. Historically, stocks have offered the highest potential for long-term growth, but they also come with higher volatility. Their prices can swing up and down significantly, especially in the short term. Bonds. When you buy a bond, you are essentially lending money to an entity, usually a government or a corporation. In return for your loan, the entity promises to pay you back the original amount, the principal, on a specific date in the future, and along the way, they typically pay you regular interest payments. Analogy: think of it as an IOU. You give someone $1,000, and they promise to pay you back the $1,000 in 10 years, plus maybe $50 in interest each year until then. How you potentially make money, primarily through the regular interest payments. Bond prices can also fluctuate based on prevailing interest rates, but they are generally considered less volatile than stocks. General risk-return profile. Bonds are typically seen as lower risk than stocks and provide more predictable income. However, their potential for high growth is also lower. They often act as a stabilizing element in a portfolio. Funds, mutual funds and ETFs. Instead of buying individual stocks or bonds, you can buy into a fund. A fund pools money from many investors to buy a whole collection of stocks, bonds, or other assets. Analogy: think of it like buying a pre-made fruit basket instead of picking out each apple, orange, and banana individually. The basket gives you variety instantly. How you potentially make money depends on what the fund holds. If it holds stocks, you benefit from the overall growth and dividends of those stocks. If it holds bonds, you benefit from the interest payments. Key benefit: diversification. By owning a fund, you instantly own small pieces of many different investments, which spreads out your risk compared to owning just one or two individual stocks or bonds. We'll talk more about specific types of funds, like index funds and ETFs, in the next chapter. General risk-return profile varies widely depending on what the fund invests in. A stock fund will be higher risk return than a bond fund, but generally offers built-in diversification. So those are the basics. Stocks offer ownership and growth potential, higher risk. Bonds offer loans and income, lower risk. Funds offer convenient diversification by packaging many investments together. Understanding these core building blocks is essential as we move towards constructing your own investment strategy. Chapter 10: Index Funds and ETFs, the beginner-friendly path to diversification. We just touched on funds as a way to easily diversify. Now let's focus on two specific types of funds that are widely recommended, especially for beginner investors. Due to their simplicity, low cost, and effectiveness: index funds and exchange-traded funds, ETFs. For many people starting out, using these is one of the simplest and most effective ways to invest for the long term. First, let's revisit diversification. You've heard the phrase, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." That's the core idea. If you invest all your money in a single company's stock and that company fails, you could lose everything. Diversification means spreading your money across many different investments. If one investment does poorly, others might do well, smoothing out your overall returns and reducing your overall risk. Index funds are designed to provide instant, broad diversification at a very low cost. An index fund doesn't try to pick winning stocks or time the market. Instead, it simply aims to track or mimic the performance of a specific market index. A market index is just a representative list of investments. Common examples include the S&P 500, tracking 500 of the largest US companies, or a total stock market index, tracking thousands of US stocks, or even a total world stock index. Analogy: instead of trying to find the single needle, the winning stock, in the haystack, the entire market, an index fund essentially lets you buy the entire haystack cheaply and easily. Key benefit: because they simply track an index, they don't require expensive teams of analysts trying to beat the market. This results in very low fees, often called expense ratios. Low fees are crucial because fees directly reduce your investment returns over time. Exchange-traded funds, ETFs, are very similar to index funds in many ways. They also offer diversification and often track specific indexes with low fees. The main difference is how they are bought and sold. Traditional index mutual funds are typically bought or sold once per day directly from the fund company. ETFs, as the name suggests, trade on stock exchanges throughout the day, just like individual stocks. Many popular index tracking strategies are available as both traditional mutual funds and ETFs. For most long-term buy-and-hold investors, the practical difference is minor, and both are excellent choices. Why are these so highly recommended? Because decades of evidence show that most actively managed funds, those trying to beat the market, actually fail to do so consistently over the long term, especially after accounting for their higher fees. By simply accepting the market's average return through a low-cost index fund or ETF, you are statistically likely to outperform the majority of professional investors over time. It's a simple, powerful, and cost-effective strategy. Your action step: do a little research. Look up one broad market index fund or ETF, perhaps one that tracks the S&P 500, a total US stock market index, or a total world stock market index. You don't need to invest yet, just understand its purpose. What index does it track? Look at its diversification, how many holdings does it have, and find its expense ratio, the annual fee. Aim for very low numbers, often below 0.20% or even lower. This learning step builds familiarity and confidence. You can find links to reputable sources for this research in the PDF. Using index funds or ETFs is a practical, reassuring and proven path for building long-term wealth through diversified market exposure. Chapter 11. Building your investment portfolio, strategy and allocation. Okay, we understand the basic investment ingredients: stocks, bonds, funds, and we've highlighted the power of low-cost index funds and ETFs. Now, how do we combine these ingredients into your specific investment recipe? This is where strategy and asset allocation come in. Asset allocation simply means deciding how much of your total investment portfolio to put into different asset classes. Primarily, what percentage goes into stocks for growth versus what percentage goes into bonds for stability and income. This is arguably the most important decision you'll make as an investor, having a greater impact on your long-term returns and risk level than picking individual investments. There's no single perfect asset allocation. It needs to be personalized. Based on two key factors: your time horizon. How long do you plan to keep the money invested before you need it? If you're investing for retirement decades away, a long time horizon, you can generally afford to take on more risk with a higher allocation to stocks, giving your money more potential to grow and more time to recover from any market downturns. If you need the money in just a few years, a short time horizon, you'll likely want a much lower allocation to stocks and more in stabler investments like bonds or even cash to reduce the risk of losing principal right before you need it. Your risk tolerance. This is more subjective. How comfortable are you emotionally and financially with the idea that your investments might lose value in the short term? Can you sleep at night if your portfolio drops 10%, 20%, or even more during a market correction? Someone with a high risk tolerance might be comfortable with a very high stock allocation, while someone with a low risk tolerance might prefer a more conservative mix with a significant portion in bonds, even if it means potentially lower long-term growth. Understanding your feelings about risk, which we touched on in Chapter 6, is crucial here. Analogy. Think of asset allocation like adjusting the sails on a boat. Your destination, financial goal, and the expected weather conditions, market volatility, your time horizon influence how you set your sails, your mix of stocks and bonds. A long journey in potentially varied weather might call for sails set for speed, more stocks, while a short trip needing a safe arrival might require a more conservative setting, more bonds. A common rule of thumb, though very simplified, is the 110 minus your age, or sometimes 120 minus your age, rule for stock allocation. For example, if you're 30 years old, 110, 30 versus 80. So you might consider an allocation of roughly 80% stocks and 20% bonds. If you're 60, 110, 60 or 50, suggesting a 50-50 split. This automatically makes your portfolio more conservative as you age. However, this is just a starting point. Your personal time horizon and risk tolerance are more important guides. So, your action step. based on your age, your primary financial goals, time horizon, e.g., retirement in 30 years, and your honest assessment of your risk tolerance, draft a target asset allocation. For example, my goal is retirement in 25 years. I'm moderately comfortable with risk, so my target is 70% stocks, 30% bonds. Or I need this money for a down payment in 5 years. I have low risk tolerance, so my target is 20% stocks, 80% bonds. Write this down. The PDF has some sample allocation examples based on different profiles. This is your initial blueprint, and it can be adjusted over time as your circumstances change. Having a clear asset allocation strategy provides discipline and helps you stay the course, guiding your investment decisions based on your plan rather than short-term market noise. Chapter 12. Automating your wealth. The set it and forget it approach. We've discussed the what investments and the how much asset allocation. Now let's talk about the how often and making the process as easy and effective as possible. One of the most powerful techniques for building wealth consistently is automation. Think about it. The most successful investors often aren't the ones constantly trading or trying to time the market. Often, they are the ones who set up a sensible plan and then let it run consistently in the background. Automation makes this effortless. It helps you build discipline, removes emotion from the investment process, and leverages a powerful concept, often called dollar cost averaging. Let's break down dollar cost averaging without using the jargon initially. It simply means investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, e.g., $200 every month, regardless of whether the market is up or down. What's the benefit? When the market prices are high, your fixed amount buys fewer investment shares. But when market prices drop, that same fixed amount automatically buys more shares. Over time, this strategy can lower your average cost per share compared to investing a lump sum, and it completely removes the temptation and usual futility of trying to guess the perfect time to invest. You just invest consistently, month after month, year after year. Automation makes this incredibly easy. You can typically set up automatic transfers from your bank account directly into your chosen investment accounts, like an IRA or a brokerage account holding your index funds or ETFs, on a regular schedule, say monthly or bi-weekly, perhaps, right after you get paid. This set it and forget it approach, though you should review your plan periodically, maybe once a year, has several advantages. Builds discipline. It forces you to invest consistently, making it a habit rather than something you have to remember or motivate yourself to do. Reduces emotional decisions. Since the investments happen automatically, you're less likely to panic sell during market downturns or get overly exuberant and invest too much during market highs. You stick to the plan. Leverages dollar cost averaging. As mentioned, it helps you buy more shares when prices are low. Makes growth effortless. Your wealth-building engine runs quietly in the background while you focus on living your life. Your action step for this chapter is straightforward but powerful. Set up automatic monthly investments from your bank account into your chosen investment funds based on your asset allocation strategy from the previous chapter. If you haven't opened an investment account yet, that's part of this step. The PDF provides links to general information on brokerage accounts and IRAs. Start with an amount you're comfortable with, and that aligns with your spending plan. Even small, consistent automatic investments harness the power of compounding and dollar cost averaging over time. Make consistency your superpower through automation. It's one of the simplest yet most profound ways to ensure you stay on track towards your financial freedom goals. Part 3. Optimizing and protecting your freedom. Chapter 13. Tax-advantaged accounts. Keeping more of your growth. As your investments start to grow, another factor comes into play: taxes. Taxes on investment gains, dividends and interest can significantly reduce your overall returns over time. Fortunately, most governments offer specific types of investment accounts that provide substantial tax advantages, allowing your money to grow more efficiently. Understanding and utilizing these tax-advantaged accounts is a key part of optimizing your wealth-building strategy. Think of these accounts like a greenhouse for your investments. Outside the greenhouse, your plants, investments, are exposed to the harsh weather, taxes. Inside the greenhouse, they're sheltered, allowing them to grow more robustly. There are generally two main types of tax advantages. Tax-deferred growth. With these accounts, you typically contribute money before paying income tax on it, sometimes getting a tax deduction up front. Your investments then grow over time without being taxed each year on dividends or capital gains. You only pay income tax when you withdraw the money in retirement. Examples often include traditional 401ks offered by employers, especially if they offer a match, free money, and traditional IRAs, individual retirement accounts, tax-free growth and withdrawals. With these accounts, you contribute money after you've already paid income tax on it, no upfront deduction. However, your investments grow tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are also completely tax-free. Examples often include Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs. The specific names and rules for these accounts vary significantly by country, e.g. 401ks and IRAs in the US, RRSPs and TFSAs in Canada, ISAs and CIPPs in the UK. The crucial thing is to understand the concept. Using these legally designated accounts can shield your investment growth from taxes, allowing compounding to work even more effectively. Which type is better, tax-deferred or tax-free? It often depends on whether you expect your tax rate to be higher now or in retirement. If you think you're in a higher tax bracket now, tax-deferred might be appealing for the upfront deduction. If you think your tax rate will be higher in retirement, or you just value tax certainty, the tax-free withdrawals of Roth accounts are very attractive. Often using a mix of both can be a good strategy. The most important first step, however, is often taking advantage of any employer match offered. If your employer offers to match your contributions to a retirement plan, like a 401k, up to a certain percentage, contributing at least enough to get that full match is almost always the best first investment move you can make. It's essentially a guaranteed 100% return on your contribution up to the match limit. Don't leave free money on the table. Your action step, if you have an employer who offers a retirement plan, like a 401k, 403b or similar, investigate the details. Find out if they offer a match and what you need to contribute to get the full amount. If you're not already doing so, make it your top priority to contribute enough to capture that full match. If you don't have an employer plan, or if you want to save more beyond the match, research the individual retirement account options available in your country, like traditional or Roth IRAs in the US. Understand the contribution limits and eligibility rules. The PDF provides links to general resources where you can start learning about options specific to your region. Using tax-advantaged accounts strategically is like adding fertilizer to your investment garden. It significantly boosts the growth potential of your hard-earned savings. Chapter 14, Beyond the Basics, Exploring Real Estate and Other Alternatives. Once you have a solid foundation, your emergency fund is established, you're consistently investing in a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, likely through low-cost funds, and you're utilizing tax-advantaged accounts, you might start wondering about other ways to grow your wealth. This chapter briefly touches upon exploring alternative investments, like real estate or starting a business, but with an important note of caution. Let's be clear. For most people, a disciplined approach focused on mastering the basics we've covered is more than sufficient to reach financial freedom. These alternatives often require significantly more capital, specialized knowledge, time commitment, and potentially higher risk than passively investing in the stock and bond markets through funds. However, let's briefly look at two common alternatives. Real estate investing. This often involves buying properties, residential or commercial, to rent out for income and potential appreciation. Potential pros: can generate regular cash flow, rental income, potential for value appreciation, tax advantages like depreciation, and leverage, using borrowed money to control a larger asset. Potential cons: requires significant capital upfront, down payment, closing costs, illiquid, can't sell quickly like stocks, requires ongoing management, finding tenants, repairs, maintenance. It's often more like a part-time job than truly passive, subject to market fluctuations and vacancies. Owning your primary residence is one thing. Becoming a landlord is another business entirely. Starting a small business or side hustle, this involves creating your own source of income by offering a product or service. Potential pros: unlimited earning potential, unlike a salary. Control over your work, potential for significant wealth creation if successful, personal satisfaction. Potential cons: very high risk, most small businesses fail, requires immense time, effort, and often personal capital. Income can be unstable, especially initially. Demands a wide range of skills: marketing, sales, operations, finance. Other alternatives exist too, like investing in commodities, private equity, or collectibles, but these are typically even more complex and less suitable for the average investor. My guidance here is this: don't feel pressured to jump into these alternative investments just because you hear success stories. Master the fundamentals first. Build your core portfolio of diversified, low-cost funds. If down the road you have the capital, the interest, the time, and the risk tolerance to thoroughly research and understand a specific alternative like rental properties or a business idea, then you can consider exploring it further. But view it as a potential addition to your solid foundation, not a replacement for it. There's no action step for this chapter beyond acknowledging these exist and maintaining focus on the core strategies we've discussed. Keep it simple, stay consistent with the basics, and you'll be well on your way. Chapter 15: Protecting Your Wealth. Insurance and Estate Planning Essentials. Building wealth is crucial for financial freedom, but protecting what you've built and protecting your loved ones from financial hardship is equally important. This involves understanding and utilizing two key risk management tools: insurance and estate planning. Insurance is fundamentally about transferring risk. You pay a relatively small, predictable amount, the premium, to an insurance company, and in return, they agree to cover potentially large, unpredictable financial losses from specific events. Think of it as a safety net protecting your financial foundation from major catastrophes. Key types of insurance to consider include health insurance, absolutely essential in most places to cover potentially crippling medical costs. Life insurance, particularly important if others depend on your income, spouse, children. Term life insurance, which covers a specific period, is often the most cost-effective way to get a large amount of coverage during your earning years. Disability insurance protects your income stream if you become unable to work due to illness or injury. Your ability to earn an income is often your biggest asset, especially early in your career, making disability insurance critically important. Property and casualty insurance includes homeowners or renters insurance, protecting your dwelling and possessions, and auto insurance, covering liability and damage related to your vehicle. Liability, umbrella, Insurance provides extra liability coverage above the limits of your home and auto policies, protecting your assets from major lawsuits. The goal isn't to be insured against every minor inconvenience, but to protect against major financial shocks that could derail your entire plan. Estate planning is about ensuring your assets are distributed according to your wishes after your death, and that your affairs are handled smoothly. It's not just for the wealthy. Analogy: if insurance is the safety net during your life, estate planning is the instruction manual for what happens after you're gone. Key components often include a will, a legal document outlining how you want your assets distributed and who should care for any minor children. Without a will, the state decides according to its own rules, which might not match your intentions. Beneficiary designations. Many accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance policies allow you to name beneficiaries directly. These designations often override what's in your will, so keeping them up to date is crucial. Powers of attorney, legal documents authorizing someone to make financial or healthcare decisions for you if you become incapacitated. Getting these basics protections in place provides immense peace of mind for both you and your loved ones. Your action step for this chapter: review your current insurance coverage. Do you have adequate health, disability, life, if needed, home renters, and auto insurance? Consider if umbrella liability insurance makes sense for your situation. Check the beneficiary designations on all your retirement accounts, investment accounts, and life insurance policies. Ensure they are up to date and reflect your current wishes. If you don't have a will, especially if you have dependents or significant assets, make it a priority to consult with an attorney or explore reputable online will creation services, depending on the complexity of your situation, to get one drafted. Protecting your wealth and your family is a fundamental part of responsible financial planning. Chapter 16: Generating Passive Income Streams, Diversifying Your Earnings. The term passive income has become incredibly popular. It evokes images of earning money while you sleep, lounging on a beach while checks roll in. It's a core component of the financial freedom dream for many. But let's approach this topic realistically. While truly 100% passive income with zero upfront effort is rare, the goal of generating income streams that require less active, ongoing work than a traditional job is absolutely achievable and a powerful way to accelerate your journey to financial freedom. Think of it less as effortless income and more as income derived from assets you've built or acquired. Remember, most passive income streams require significant work, capital, or both upfront to create. Here are some common examples of income streams often considered passive, though the degree of passivity varies greatly. Dividend income from stocks. As we discussed, owning stocks, especially through dividend-focused funds, can provide regular income payments. This is perhaps one of the most passive forms once the initial investment is made, though market fluctuations affect value. Interest from bonds or savings. Bonds and high-yield savings accounts generate interest payments, generally very passive, but typically lower returns than stocks. Rental income from real estate. Owning rental properties can generate monthly cash flow. However, as mentioned earlier, managing properties often requires significant ongoing effort, tenant screening, maintenance, repairs, unless you pay a property manager, which reduces your net income. It takes substantial capital to start. Royalties. If you create intellectual property, write a book, compose music, invent something, you might earn royalties for years with little ongoing effort after the initial creation, which itself requires immense work. Online businesses, creating and selling digital products, courses, ebooks, affiliate marketing, earning commissions promoting others' products. or building a monetized blog or YouTube channel can generate income that becomes more passive over time as the systems and content are established. Again, this requires enormous upfront work and entrepreneurial effort. The real power here often lies in diversifying your income sources. Relying solely on one job for all your income creates vulnerability. Building multiple streams, even small ones initially, provides more resilience and accelerates wealth accumulation. Your investment portfolio generating dividends and interest is a fantastic starting point for income diversification. Think strategically. Which potential streams align with your skills, capital, interests, and available time for upfront effort? Don't chase every shiny object. Maybe focus on consistently building your investment portfolio first, letting dividends and interest grow passively. Later, perhaps you explore one other avenue that genuinely appeals to you and fits your life. There isn't a specific action step here, other than to understand the reality behind passive income, effort now for potential payoff later, and to see your growing investment portfolio as your first and most important passive income generator in the long run through compounding and eventual withdrawals. Focus on building those assets. Chapter 17. Staying the course. Handling market volatility and financial setbacks. We've covered a lot of ground on building your financial foundation and growing your wealth. But the path to financial freedom is rarely a perfectly straight line. Upwards, there will be bumps in the road. Markets will go up and sometimes they will go down, sometimes sharply. You might face unexpected personal financial setbacks. This chapter is crucial. It's about how to stay the course when things get turbulent. Let me be direct. Market volatility is normal. Stock market corrections, drops of 10% or more, and even bear markets, drops of 20% or more, are a regular, recurring part of the long-term investment cycle. They are unpredictable in their timing and severity, but they will happen. Your financial plan, particularly your asset allocation and your long-term perspective, is designed to weather these storms. I remember my first significant market downturn after I started investing seriously. Watching my portfolio value drop day after day felt genuinely scary. The news headlines were screaming crisis. The urge to sell everything before it went lower was incredibly strong. It takes conscious effort to resist that panic. Why is reacting emotionally usually the wrong move? Because selling during a downturn locks in your losses. It turns a temporary paper loss into a permanent, real loss. And then you're faced with the impossible task of guessing when the right time is to get back in, often missing the eventual recovery. History has shown time and again that markets recover, and those who stay invested patiently are typically rewarded. Here's how to handle volatility and setbacks. Remember your plan. You created an asset allocation based on your time, horizon and risk tolerance. Trust it. It was designed knowing that downturns would occur. Revisit your why. Remember those core motivations you wrote down in Chapter 1. Remind yourself what you're working towards. Focusing on your long-term goals helps put short-term fluctuations in perspective. Tune out the noise. Limit your exposure to sensationalist financial news during volatile periods. Constantly checking your portfolio balance can increase anxiety and temptation to act rashly. Trust in diversification. If you're invested in broad market index funds, your portfolio is diversified across hundreds or thousands of companies. This significantly cushions the blow compared to holding just a few individual stocks. Embrace automation and dollar-cost averaging. If you've automated your investments, you're automatically buying more shares at lower prices during downturns. This is exactly what dollar-cost averaging is supposed to do. Stick with it. Focus on what you can control. You can't control the market, But you can control your savings rate, your spending, your adherence to your plan, and your emotional reactions. Have your emergency fund ready. This buffer prevents you from being forced to sell investments at a bad time if you face a personal financial emergency like a job loss during a market downturn. If you experience a personal setback, job loss, unexpected major expense, pause, assess the situation calmly, utilize your emergency fund as needed, and adjust your plan temporarily. If necessary, e.g., pausing investment contributions while you stabilize. The key is to get back on track as soon as you reasonably can. Your action step for this chapter is mental preparation. When the market inevitably feels turbulent, or if you face a personal financial challenge, commit to pausing before reacting. Promise yourself you will revisit your written financial plan and your why from Chapter 1 before making any drastic changes based on fear or panic. Staying calm and disciplined during challenging times is what separates successful long-term investors from those who let emotions derail their progress. Your future self will thank you for your steadiness. Chapter 18. Defining enough. Calculating your financial independence number. We've talked about the journey, the strategies, the mindset. But how do you know when you've actually reached financial freedom? How much money do you actually need to live life on your own terms, potentially without needing to work for income anymore? Let's try to make this abstract goal more concrete by figuring out your financial independence number, often called your FI number. The core concept behind the FI number is this: you need to accumulate enough invested assets so that you can comfortably live off a small percentage of those assets each year, ideally forever, without running out of money. Your investments generate returns, growth and income, and you withdraw a portion of those returns to cover your living expenses. Analogy: imagine you've grown a large orchard, your investment portfolio. Financial independence is when the orchard is big enough that you can live comfortably off the fruit it produces each year, your withdrawals, without having to cut down the trees themselves, depleting your principal. How do you calculate this number? A common guideline used in the financial independence community is the 4% rule. This rule emerged from research looking at historical market returns. It suggests that if you can live off 4% or less of your invested assets in the first year of retirement and adjust that amount for inflation each subsequent year, there's a very high probability your money will last for at least 30 years, potentially much longer. To use the 4% rule to estimate your FI number, you simply work backward. Estimate your desired annual spending in retirement or financial freedom. How much money do you realistically need or want per year to live the life you envision? Be thorough. Include housing, food, healthcare, travel, hobbies, taxes, everything. Your budget from Chapter 3 is a good starting point, but adjust for your future lifestyle. Multiply that annual spending number by 25. Why 25? Because 1 divided by 0.04, which is 4%, equals 25. So if 4% of your portfolio equals your annual spending, then your total portfolio needs to be 25 times your annual spending. Formula: desired annual expenses x 25, says your estimated FI number. Example: if you estimate you'll need $60,000 per year to live comfortably, your FI number target would be $60,000 x 25,000. $500,000, $1,500,000. This is the approximate amount you'd need invested to safely withdraw $60,000 per year, according to the 4% rule. Important caveats. The 4% rule is a guideline, not an ironclad guarantee. It's based on historical U.S. market data, assumes a specific asset allocation, often around 60% stocks, 40% bonds, and future returns might differ. Some people prefer a more conservative withdrawal rate, like 3.5% or 3%, meaning you'd need a larger portfolio, multiply by 28.6 or 33.3 respectively. Your withdrawal strategy might also change over time. However, calculating this number, even as a rough estimate, is incredibly empowering. It transforms financial freedom from a vague dream into a quantifiable target. It gives you something concrete to aim for. Your action step. Estimate your desired annual spending in your financially free life. Use your current budget and adjust for future changes. Multiply that number by 25 to get your initial FI number target based on the 4% rule. Use the calculator provided in the PDF to explore how different spending levels or withdrawal rates, like 3.5%, affect your target number. Write down your estimated FI number. Knowing your target helps you track your progress and stay motivated on the path ahead. Chapter 19. Living Financially Free. Designing your life on your terms. We've calculated the number, the target amount of assets that could signify reaching financial independence. But let's bring our focus back to the beginning, back to chapter 1. Achieving the number isn't the ultimate end goal in itself. The money is simply the tool. The real goal is what that tool enables, living life truly on your terms. Financial freedom unlocks possibilities. It gives you the power of choice. It allows you to design a life that aligns more closely with your values, your passions, and your definition of fulfillment. As you progress on this journey, even well before you hit your final FI number, you'll likely start feeling increasing levels of freedom and reduced financial stress. So what does living financially free actually look like? It's deeply personal, as we discussed. Maybe it means leaving a stressful but high-paying job for work that's more meaningful, even if it pays less, because your investments provide a safety net or supplementary income. Maybe it means taking a sabbatical to travel, learn a new skill, or volunteer for a cause you believe in. Maybe it means starting your own business without the pressure of needing it to support you immediately. Maybe it means spending significantly more time with family and loved ones, being present for the moments that matter most. Maybe it simply means having the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have enough, allowing you to approach your current work and life with less anxiety and more presence. I've seen clients use their growing financial freedom in countless ways. One started a non-profit animal rescue, another cut back to part-time work to pursue landscape painting. Another simply enjoyed the security of knowing they could walk away from their job if they needed to, which paradoxically made them enjoy it more. Let's turn the question back to you again. As you build towards your financial freedom, what's the first thing you imagine doing differently when you have more financial breathing room? Even reaching your emergency fund goal or paying off high-interest debt creates a form of freedom. How will you consciously use the increasing options that financial progress provides? This journey isn't just about accumulating assets, it's about cultivating a mindset of abundance, purpose, and conscious choice. It's about understanding what truly brings you joy and fulfillment and using your financial resources to support that vision. Financial freedom provides the fertile ground, but you still need to plant the seeds of the life you want to live. As we approach the conclusion of this audiobook, hold on to that vision. Let it be your motivation not just to manage your money, but to actively design and live a richer, more intentional life, starting today. Conclusion. Your ongoing journey to lasting freedom. We've covered a significant distance together on this audio journey. We started by exploring what financial freedom truly means to you personally. We took the courageous step of assessing your current reality. We laid a solid foundation by creating intentional spending plans, developing strategies to tackle debt, and building that crucial emergency fund for peace of mind. Then we shifted our focus to growth. We explored the powerful influence of our own financial psychology. we demystified investing, uncovering the incredible potential of compound interest and decoding basic investment options like stocks, bonds, and the simple effectiveness of low-cost index funds and ETFs. We discussed building a personalized portfolio through asset allocation and the power of automating your contributions for consistent progress. Finally, we looked at optimizing and protecting your freedom, utilizing tax-advantaged accounts, understanding alternative investments realistically, putting essential insurance and estate planning in place, generating diverse income streams, and crucially, learning how to stay the course through market volatility and life's inevitable setbacks. We even calculated a target FI number to make your goal concrete, always bringing it back to the ultimate purpose, designing and living a life on your own terms. If there's one core message I hope you take away, it's this. Financial freedom is achievable. It's not reserved for a select few. It's the result of gaining clarity, taking consistent, informed action, exercising patience, and maintaining a long-term perspective. It requires discipline, yes, but it also offers immense rewards. In security, opportunity, and peace of mind. Remember, this isn't just about money. It's about empowerment. It's about having the resources and the options to design a life that truly resonates with your values and aspirations. You have the knowledge now. You have the tools. You understand the principles. The most important step, as always, is the one you take next. Don't let overwhelm paralyze you. Revisit the chapters that resonated most deeply. Use the exercises and resources in the downloadable PDF that accompanies this audiobook. Continue learning. This is an ongoing journey, but most importantly, start implementing. Choose one small, manageable change you can make today. Calculate your net worth. Track your spending for a week. Make that first extra debt payment. Set up that first small automatic savings or investment transfer. Every step forward, no matter how small, builds momentum. Every conscious financial decision you make reinforces your path towards freedom. You have the map, you have the compass. The journey ahead is yours to navigate. Start today. Your future self, living life more fully on their own terms, will thank you profoundly for the choices you make starting now. Thank you for listening, and I wish you the very best on your ongoing journey to lasting financial freedom. Financial freedom. Achieve financial independence and live on your own terms. Audiobook, written by Peter A. Saul, published by Audiobooks LOA.